Good afternoon, grade 12s, and very welcome to yet another very interesting lesson of business studies. I am still Mr. Jameo Calvert, and today we're moving to topic 2, which is human resources functions. And today we are going to focus specifically on unit 1, which is analysis of HR activities. But before we delve deep into that, let me first give you a brief introduction into business studies. Into human resources, sorry. So the human resources or HR function is responsible for planning for a business's future needs for labor. It aims to ensure that the right workers are available in the right numbers, in the right places, and at the right time. The HR function is also responsible for succession planning. Succession planning is the process of identifying employees who can be trained for future leadership positions, and succession planning aims to ensure that employees are prepared to replace key persons in any enterprise. So other responsibilities of the HR function include recruiting, selecting, and appointing employees, salary administration and determination, skills development, appraising and managing work performance, establishing and maintaining employee wellness, and managing employees' careers. But we will talk about all of this and more as we go deeper into our topic. In topic 1, we also studied the legislation that impacts on the human resources activities within a business, namely the Labor Relations Act, LRA number 66 of 1995, the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, BCEA number 75 of 1997, the Employment Equity Act, EEA number 55 of 1998, and then finally the Compensation for Occupational Injuries and Diseases Act, COIDA number 61 of 1997. So I want you guys to refer back to topic 1 where these acts were discussed. In topic 2, you will look at these acts from the Human Resources Department's perspective and critically engage with the impact of these acts on the human resource activities in an organization. In this topic, we'll analyze the HR activities and discuss the following legislation. We will discuss Skills Development Act number 97 of 1998, the link between the Skills Development Act and CETA's learnership skills programmers and qualifications, national qualifications frameworks, and SAQA. So, grade 12. Here on slide 2, you'll find a quick overview of topic 2. So HR activities, as you will see, are those activities undertaken to manage a business employees in keeping with labor laws. Many of these activities have to do with hiring new staff members. There are 6 key activities that the Human Resource Department is required to carry out during the hiring process. That is your recruitment, selection, interviewing, employment contracts, placements and induction, salary determination, and administration. So before we go into Unit 1, analysis of human resource functions, I first want us to discuss the topics or actually look at the topics that we will be, or the units that we'll be dealing in, the 9 units that we'll be dealing with under this topic. The first unit, Unit 1, will be the one that we are going to deal with today, analysis of HR functions. Unit 2, procedures related to recruitment, selection, and interviewing. Unit 3, legislation and HR functions. Unit 4, legalities of employment contracts. Unit 5, procedures for screening and placement. Unit 6, interviewing, selection and induction. Unit 7, salary determinations. Unit 8, employee benefits. And Unit 9, Skills Development Act number 97 of 1998. Um, Colleagues, students, so now I want you guys to remember that the human resource activities are those activities undertaken to manage a business employees in keeping with the labor laws. The human resource manager is responsible for the recruitment and appointment of competent and skillful workers. It is important that the correct procedures for selection and interviewing are followed to ensure that the best candidates for the post is appointed. In addition, the HR department is involved in professional development and training, health and safety conditions, communication with trade unions, motivation of workers, procedures related to dismissals and retrenchments, and the exact labor needs of an enterprise must be determined before candidates can be recruited. Enterprises should develop detailed descriptions of each job. This is not only to help HR managers to find job candidates, it also tells employees what the responsibilities of their specific jobs are. Hence, therefore, creating a job analysis is an important part of HR planning. Why is creating a job analysis an important part of HR planning? Well, we have in front of you, you will see a table with two columns. One on the one side, on the left side, on my left side, it's job description, and on the right side, it's job specification. So, under job description, you would see that job description, it's a written description of the job and its requirements, and the specification for that is the written description of the characteristics and qualifications required of the person that will fill the job. This, for the job description, it includes details such as job title, main purpose of the job, the duties and responsibilities, the department in which the job is performed, and the required performance standards. And then under job specifications, the details that are included there are such as physical requirements, the qualifications required, the training required, and the minimum experience required. Expertise and skills required is also very important. Let's remember that we said that human resource activities can be grouped into four main functions of the human resource development or department as shown on the diagram below. These are the main activities of the HR function. Contracts and worker certification, one. Um, Remuneration, salaries, and benefits, that's two. Three, orientation and training. Number four, recruitment and selection. So these four are the main activities of the human resources, and therefore we say HR activities can be grouped into the four main functions of the HR department. Now, let's look at recruitment and selection. The main purpose of recruitment is to attract applicants with the required skills, qualifications, and characteristics to fill vacancies in a company. So, selection is the final choice that is made from all the applicants. So, after all the applications has been submitted and you have reviewed them, so now you need to select an applicant. So that's the final choice that is made from all of the applicants that applied. So employee contracts. An employee contract regulates the terms and conditions of employment between the employers and employees. The contract also stipulates the remuneration, meaning what amount of money should an employee be paid, the work hours, meaning from what time to what time should an employee work. For instance, if I'm a teacher, my contract would be stipulating that I'm working from 7:30 in the morning up until 2:30 in the afternoon. Annual leave, it also stipulates how much annual leave you can take for a year. And then it also tells you how much sick leave you can take. It also talks about other benefits such as pension fund and medical aid. Now, for teachers employed in government, they would be speaking about your government employees pension fund and your government employees medical scheme and all of that. And all policies, procedures, and code of conduct which are applicable in the workplace. Like for instance, for teachers, we find the Employment of Educators Act, we find the SACE Act, we find the SACE Professional Code of Conduct, and also the School Code of Conduct for Educators, amongst many others. Now let's look at induction and placement. An induction program ensures that new employees are properly orientated into the company so they can start contributing effectively to the business. Induction can be done in several ways, such as manual with policies and procedures, visits to various units, mentoring or coaching, and employees might need specific training or upskilling in new technology. Placement is the act of matching a specific position to the ideal candidate, and this will happen when the position is offered or while the employee is already in a position at the company. So induction can be defined as something, when we look at induction, we know that it is stressful to start working for a new employer. Induction is the process of introducing a new employee to a business enterprise, the office where he or she will be working, and the work that is to be done, colleagues and procedures. Induction or orientation aims to reduce anxiety in new employees, creating a feeling of security, create realistic expectations, ensure that new employees become productive as soon as possible. They familiarize new employees with the business's policies and ways of doing things. And then when we look at the placement, we can define placement as actually, placement refers to the process of placing employees where they will function optimally and add the most value to business. So on the slide that I gave you, it also says that placement is the act of matching a specific position to the ideal candidate. This will happen when the position is offered or while the employee is already in a position at the company, right? So now we have to look at salary, administration, and employee benefits. Calculating all salary-related amounts, deductions, payments, and benefits is a key HR activity. Payments to staffs and other beneficiaries such as pension funds, medical aid schemes, and provident funds must be completed by the HR department. So the HR department is actually quite vast if we look at it that way. Now let's look at employee benefits. So sometimes employees do not only earn a salary, wage, or commission, but other benefits as well. Employers are not compelled by any law to pay any benefits to employees, but employers who offer good remuneration packages attract a wider range of candidates to choose employees from. Companies use the term cost to company to calculate the total cost to employ a candidate, and the following are examples of items usually included in the cost to company calculations: the gross salary, which refers to the salary before any deductions, company contributions to medical aid, pension fund, or provident fund, use of company property, for example, a car, petrol card, and laptop, or the cost of any loans or bursaries. So what are employee benefits? Employee benefits are things like your pension fund. Employers are not compelled by law, I'm repeating it again, to make pension fund contributions for employees. However, pension fund contributions could form part of an employee's remuneration package. The employer can decide what percentage to contribute. In such case, the employer and employee both contribute towards a pension fund. According to the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, pension fund contributions must be paid to the relevant fund within 7 days after the deduction or the end of period for which payment was made. Upon retirement, a person receives a quarter of the money in a lump sum. The rest of the money is paid to a person in equal monthly installments. An employee, however, can be compelled to join a particular pension fund. Another example of employee benefits would be your provident fund. So a provident fund is similar to a pension fund, but a person receives the whole amount as a lump sum upon retirement, and employees are not compelled by law to make provident fund contributions for employees. However, the provident fund contributions could form part of an employee's remuneration package, and then employers can decide what percentage to contribute. So whatever amount of, or whatever percentage an employer wants to contribute, they can. In such a case, the employer and employee both contribute toward a provident fund. According to the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, provident fund contributions must be paid to the relevant fund within 7 days after deductions or the end of the period for which payment was made. So this is the same as in pension. Any employee, however, can be compelled to join a particular provident fund. So what does this mean? It means that a employee, it may be a requirement, a prerogative, a must for an employee to join a provident fund by the employer. Then other employee benefits that we can get are those such as your medical. Employers are also not compelled by law to make any medical contributions for employees, but medical aid contributions could form part of their employees' remuneration package once again, and employers can decide what percentage to contribute again. In such a case, the employer and employee contribute towards the medical aid, the same instance as with the pension and provident funds. And then in rare case scenarios, you also find shares being part of employee benefits, because some employers offer share options to employees, and this provides employees with an opportunity to share in the future growth of the employer. And then one other employee benefit that we can also look at is the incentive bonus, because some employers offer incentive bonuses to employees, and incentive bonuses are usually linked to the employer's performance. This then means that an employee receives extra money if performance targets are met. We can also view travel allowance as part of the employee benefits, because employees who are required to travel a lot for their work may receive a travel allowance, and this means that the employer pays the traveling cost of the employee. And some employees also receive a company car. Company cars belongs to the employers and is available for use by employees as agreed upon in the employment contract. Finally, guys, let's quickly do an activity. So now that we've listened to everything and we have gone through our slides and all our notes, and I think we are now ready to test a little bit of our knowledge. Let's go. So guys, activity 2.1, which is an analysis of HR activities and applicable legislation in South African organizations, which activity I got from the Focus Business Studies page textbook on page 34. And okay, so here goes. You have been appointed as the new MD of a company called Maggie Games. The company has experienced a huge growth spurt as a result of their technological capabilities in the field of new software development for computer games. As a result of the unplanned growth, there is no designated HR department. The previous MD took it upon herself to manage all HR aspects of the business. Employees all had contracts and were always paid on time. However, the board of directors wants you to investigate and analyze current HR practices in South African business in the South African business environment and present your findings so they can decide what is needed in the organization. You must ensure that current legislation requirements are adhered to by analyzing the main implications of the LRA, the BCEA, EE, and COIDA. In your presentation to the Board of Directors, you must explain the human resource activities outlined in the table on slide 12, as well as the requirements stipulated in the Labor Relations Act, Basic Conditions of Employment Act, EE Act, and COIDA. Use the table to help you formulate your presentation. Guys, please refer to topic 1 for information on the various acts. So guys, this is our table. As you will see, it has 4 columns. In the first column, you will find that it says HR activity, and beneath that, you will see that it's written recruiting and selecting. In the second line after that, it's employee contracts, and the third line says induction placement, and then after that we have skills development, and then lastly we have salary administration and employee benefits. So what you need to do in the second column, you need to explain the activity. You need to give a explanation of the activity, and then in the third column you need to give the applicable legislation. So you choose the legislation that impacts on the human resources activity listed in the first column, and then on the fourth column you state the requirements of the legislation, provide the main requirements that must be adhered to. You understand? So that's what I want us to do that in 5 minutes, and then we get back to it. Finally, thank you very much for availing yourselves grade 12s for this lesson. I hope that you learned a lot, because I definitely did learn a lot. Despite our online way of learning, I am very sure that you have had enough to think about, you have had enough to prepare for examinations. Until next time, goodbye.